Hello, my name is Annie. And today is Tuesday, July 25, 2023. These articles focus on the pending recession. Meet Kevin, Stephen Van Metre and Jeff Snider from Eurodollar University weigh in on the subject. So let's get started. Prepare for the forced recession. The Fed's Great Reset is a YouTube video by Meet Kevin. The video emphasizes the importance of understanding the economic landscape to prepare for possible market changes. Here's a summary of the key points discussed. The video starts with a discussion on the potential risks to the economy, particularly for those invested in assets like stocks, crypto, and real estate. The presenter urges viewers to pay attention to the bear market, a period of falling stock prices. Kevin then discusses the importance of understanding the factors that drive inflation, focusing on three main components: goods, housing, and non-housing super core services. He notes that while inflation is moderating, it's unclear whether this will affect core inflation. He also discusses the potential impact of rent inflation on core inflation. He mentions that if rent inflation continues to fall and affects core inflation, that would be ideal. However, if rent inflation increases or doesn't affect core inflation, it could be problematic. The presenter then discusses the Federal Reserve's views on inflation and wage growth. He mentions that the Fed has slightly adjusted its goals, implying a higher tolerance for inflation and wage growth. Towards the end of the video, Kevin outlines three potential scenarios for the economy: a bad scenario where core inflation remains strong and rent inflation doesn't affect it, a moderate scenario where core inflation moderates and rent inflation stabilizes, and a great scenario where core inflation plummets and the economy remains strong. Finally, Kevin encourages viewers to stay tuned for updates on the economy and to keep an eye on indicators like rental inflation and core numbers. Throughout the video, Kevin provides clear explanations, using both verbal descriptions and visual aids. His teaching style is direct and informative, making complex economic concepts accessible to viewers. He also effectively handles the challenging task of explaining economic scenarios and their potential impacts, guiding viewers to understand the implications for their investments. The tutorial is particularly effective for those interested in finance and investing. It provides valuable insights into the current economic climate and potential future scenarios. However, the complexity of the topic may require viewers to have some prior knowledge of economics and finance to fully grasp the content. The video is presented by Steve Van Metre discusses concerns about the potential impact of economic instability on regional banks, the role of the Federal Reserve, and predictions of a possible recession. Van Metre highlighted that U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen flagged potential stress within the regional banking system, despite the solid quarterly earnings of large banks. He mentioned the continued usage of the Fed's Bank Term Funding Program facility, indicating ongoing issues with deposit flight from small and regional banks. The video also discussed how some regional banks are hoarding cash in anticipation of potential new regulations and a slowing economy. Van Metre emphasized the connection between a decrease in bank credit and a decrease in inflation. He quoted Yellen saying that consumers appear to be rebuilding their savings, which implies less spending and thus lower inflation. Van Metre further discussed predictions by billionaire Barry Sternlicht of a Category 5 hurricane, spurred by Fed rate hikes. Sternlicht warned that tightened credit conditions could lead to the failure of hundreds of regional banks, potentially necessitating another government bailout similar to the savings and loan crisis of the 1980s and 1990s. One notable quote from the episode comes from Snider, who says the 2020s are far more likely to look like the 2010s than not, and the recession is incidental to getting us back to the 2010s after a couple of years of supply shock. Presenting in a focused and informative style, Van Metre used graphics to illustrate his points, including charts showing the relationship between bank credit and inflation, and the personal savings rate and the consumer price index. The video ended with a warning about the implications of such an economic downturn, suggesting it could have a devastating impact on consumer confidence, spending, and the overall economy. The episode of the YouTube podcast, Market Strategists Get Cold Feet at the Worst Possible Time, is centered around the ongoing debate about the potential for a recession. The discussion is led by Jeff Snider of Eurodollar University and Stephen Van Metre, who report from the U.S. Treasury Department. The central theme of the episode is the growing impatience and skepticism among Wall Street strategists about the possibility of a recession. Despite market indicators such as yield curve inversion suggesting a recession might be imminent, the lack of an official confirmation has caused some to reassess their positions. Goldman Sachs, for instance, has begun to question the reliability of the yield curve as a recession indicator. The speakers also address the issue of recession fatigue, noting that the delay in a confirmed recession has led some to believe it might not occur at all. They argue, however, that this view is misguided, pointing to the German economy's recent recession following a yield curve inversion as evidence that the market indicators still hold value. Snider and Van Meter also criticize the Federal Reserve's optimistic outlook, highlighting the bond market's resistance to the idea of imminent growth and inflation. They contend that the persistence of low government rates, despite the Fed's quantitative tightening, indicates a lack of growth and inflation. Overall, the tone of the episode is analytical and skeptical, challenging mainstream economic perspectives and emphasizing the importance of critically examining market indicators. The key takeaway for listeners is to question the prevailing narrative and consider alternative economic indicators when assessing the potential for a recession. We have taken over 1 hour of video content and condensed it to less than 7.5 minutes. And I am sure you can read the summary faster than that. If you found the content useful, you can get started with a couple of clicks. For less than 30 cents per day, you get 75 hours of video summaries each month. You can try us out for free and cancel at any time. Your AI-generated summaries will be delivered in real time directly to your mobile phone. With tubeonAI, you can stay up to date with your favorite influencers without spending hours of your time watching lengthy videos. Thank you for taking the time to review this curated video. We hope you found it useful. With tubeonAI you can unlock insights, embrace efficiency, and save time. Click the join button now and start getting back your life without missing the content you love.